Before the collapse, the Stalker was a man named Soren, a low guardian who loved a woman named Jade. Orcan law forbade it. The legems did not permit a low guardian to love freely or father a child, and Jade was pregnant. She told Soren he would always protect them. He believed her. Executor Ballas caught them and made the punishment monstrous. Jade was forcibly converted into a Warframe while still pregnant, put through the body-breaking transformation with her child inside her, and Ballas mocked her, telling her she would only mother ashes and oblivion. The conversion gave her the Jade Light, a power so dangerous the Orcan could not use her freely. They locked her in a hibernation pod inside an execution chamber on Lua, waking her only to kill. They thought she slept without dreams. She dreamed of her child's face. Soren became the Stalker. When the Tenno slaughtered the Orcan during the collapse, he turned grief into a hunt and buried his past so deep that even he could barely reach it. Jade Shadows is him going back for her, walking through the ruins of his own heart until he reaches the center, where he names the child she carried. The player picks one of two names, Sirius or Orion. That choice looked like flavor, a fingerprint on the story. Hunhow closes the quest, entrusting Jade's remains to the Tenno, and it plays as a mournful ending, a father reclaiming what was stolen and another at peace. The game did not tell you that in a void-soaked universe, naming a child is an act of creation. Jade Shadow's Constellations is the consequence of our action. Constellations opens above the orb Vallis on Venus. Two objects, one green and one red, colliding in the sky over and over. Hunhow, who knows the wreckage of his own mistakes better than anyone alive, sends the Stalker down. The objects resolve into two Warframes locked in endless battle, and when the first fight ends, the Stalker recognizes them. They are his son, both of them. Eternalism is the engine here, so understand it precisely. In Warframe's universe, every possibility that can exist does exist, because the void refuses to collapse outcomes into a single result. This is the same force that let the operator survive the Zariman when they should have died, that powers transference across an impossible distance, that built all of Duviri out of one man's spiraling mind. Possibility becomes physical. Belief becomes matter. What could happen in the Void's hands simply does. Apply that to a father naming his child. Naming the son was a forking in reality. In one timeline, the boy is Sirius, and the other Orion, and because the act happened in a universe saturated by the void, neither possibility was allowed to vanish. Both children became real. Two sons from one act of love, split down the middle by the nature of existence itself. This is the detail that makes the original quest's choice retroactively devastating. Worse, they did not grow up together. Each son was raised 20 years into his own separate future, and in both of those futures, all is lost to madness. Each came to believe the only way to save his dying world is to erase the other, because if reality only has room for one of them, the other is the surplus that has to be cut away. So they fight forever, green light against red, and neither is wrong from inside his own timeline. There is no villain among the sons. There are two frightened children, each certain his survival requires his brother's death. They did not come alone. Sirius is guided by Ryoku, a proto-frame carrying Ash's traits, master of the unseen blade, raised in the tradition of the Scoria, the Orcan school of political assassins that revered Ash as its patron saint. Orion is guided by Vena, a proto-frame carrying Garuda's traits, the blood-drenched witch who dances through slaughter smiling. Each mentor raised a son who is not theirs in a dying world to find the father and drag him to their timeline over the other. The son whose name you did not choose threatens the Stalker. The son whose name you did choose recognizes some unseen force is making them fight and reaches out for help. Whichever you choose, you condemn the other to a dying timeline where his own brother is the thing between his world and oblivion. The Stalker returns to his lair on Uranus, and here Constellations reveals its real subject. This is a story about fathers who failed. Though I don't believe either of these fathers can be easily deemed as failures, Hunhow confirms the truth and then does something rare. He tells the Stalker to seek help, but not from the Tenno. Consider for a moment who's giving that advice. Hunhow, who failed his own children, Nata, whom the Orokin twisted into the Lotus and tore from him, and Era, whom he lost to the New War. He is not advising from wisdom, but from grief. He has watched a father's choices destroy the children he meant to save, and he knows how this ends if no one intervenes. So the Stalker hunts a different father. He boards the Tenno's orbiter, distracts Ortis with the helmet, and finds Excalibur Umbra. Umbra is exactly right. He was a Dax forced to murder his own son, Isa, and Ballas forced him to relive that memory for finding out about the collusion with the sentients. He knows what it is to lose a son and keep losing him. When the Stalker asks for help protecting a child, Umbra does not hesitate. Ortis doesn't just look the other way, he actively keeps the operator in the dark because Umbra insists he not interfere. I also don't understand how Umbra is just roaming the orbiter, but that's besides the point. The middle is the Stalker and Umbra working as a team, which is a sentence I never expected to write. They head to Venus to intercept Corpus transmissions and track the suns. Before facing the future suns, the Stalker takes their mentors off the board one at a time. He learns Venus' future through a spy mission guarded by bloodbinds, then confronts her, the witch who taunts him as his future daughter-in-law.
Oh, a fight? Do you not approve of your future daughter-in-law?
He prepares a capture for Ryoku, fighting laser grids and a swarm of shadow clones before bringing the assassin down. With both mentors incapacitated, the sons are drawn together with no one left to fight for. While the Stalker hunts, Umbra watches the infant present-day son given a Shazin to soothe him. The baby cries no matter how well you play, so Umbra sets the instrument down and simply holds the child. Hunhow sends the Stalker to a derelict in the Uranus Proxima overrun by the Murmur to collect a void spark. The sentients saw the void long ago. Most of them, at least. Now armed with what the void is capable of, Hunhow means to do what they would not. There, the Stalker understands the sun's war is fueled by the void itself, and reaching for the spark, he sees them. Not two timelines, an infinity of Sirius and Orion at war across every branch of reality. The fork he created was never two children. Eternalism made it endless. Then something wearing Jade's face attacks him. A phantom. Jade's mockery, fighting with glory on high and able to shut down his smokescreen. It is heavily implied to be the Indifference, the man in the wall, the void's hostile intelligence that has needled at every Tenno's reflection since the Zariman, the one Hunhow will name the void jester who watches our grief. The feud was never natural. It found a father's love, the most defenseless thing a man like the Stalker had left, and turned it into a weapon against him. The Stalker destroys the false Jade, takes the spark, and now holds the one thing that can end this. The price of using it is the heart of this quest. The future suns converge on the lair, on Umbra and the infant. The Stalker delivers the void spark to Hunhow, and Hunhow does what he came to do. He offers his memories to the Indifference. Once before, someone severed part of themselves to the void to hide something precious. The Lotus, burying Lua to keep the Tenno hidden from the Orokin. Hunhow does the same for a different reason, giving his memories, his identity, his entire accumulated self to collapse the infinite war into a single space where both suns can coexist. He knows the void covets. He knows it will want everything he was. He offers it freely. because the alternative is watching another family die the way his did. His final message, time to arrive only after the deed is done, tells the Tenno he does not sacrifice the memory of your acquaintance lightly, and that he knows you are taking care of her. Her is the Lotus, Nata, the daughter he lost. The last thing Hunhow does with this memory before giving it away is reach for his child. He signs it as a proud father. The great and terrible Hunhow, sentient destroyer of worlds, architect of the new war, ends his story trying to give someone else's children the family he could not hold on to. And he does not simply fade. As he gives himself to the void, he abandons his legacy of destruction, rises from his prison, and engulfs everyone in light. When the Stalker wakes in the void and follows Jade's voice to rouse his sons, Hunhow is there, transformed, declaring him the sentient architect of worlds. The Indifference wanted everything Hunhow was, every memory, every cruelty, the whole accumulated weight of the destroyer of worlds. Hunhow let it take exactly that, the destroyer, and likely what he was before, the original Hunhow that set out with his brethren to tame the sky.
I am Hunhow, sentient architect of worlds. It's my honor to prepare a new home for you. I shall be happy to see you populate it.
The quest ends on a dinner. The Stalker cooks for his sons. Sirius likes meat and sweet, Harask brisket and spargo sugar. Orion likes vegetarian and spicy, Borgon tuber and soul pepper. The Stalker tells them to stay together. And that covers everything in Jade Shadow's Constellations. This was definitely a lighter quest, and you know me, I prefer to get straight to the point and never waste your time. Personally, I thought the quest was just alright. I definitely walked away wishing we had dived a bit deeper into the lore. However, we've got plenty more to talk about soon, specifically the origin story of Garuda, which I'll be breaking down in an upcoming video. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Until next time, peace.